August 7, 1931. New York City was burning from the inside out. A cop killed an innocent man in broad daylight. Little Italy erupted. 20,000 people flooded the streets, torches in hand, fury in their hearts. Buildings blazed. Blood stained the cobblestones. The NYPD was powerless. Mayor Jimmy Walker wouldn't act. Everyone knew what came next. Troops marching into Little Italy, martial law choking the neighborhood, mass arrests giving them another excuse to destroy the community. But then, Lucky Luciano did something nobody saw coming. He ended the chaos himself. No badges, no politicians, just one man, one voice, and the iron respect of an entire city. And when the fires died down, when silence returned to Mulberry Street, Lucky picked up the telephone and called Mayor Walker directly. What he said on that call, what he demanded, forced the mayor to do something that rewired how the NYPD operated forever. This is the night Lucky Luciano proved that real power doesn't come from City Hall, it comes from the streets. To understand what happened on August 7, 1931, you need to understand what New York was living through. Prohibition. The entire country outlawed. Criminals made kings overnight. But for immigrants in Little Italy, it was worse than that. They were fighting for American freedom while being denied that same freedom at home. Italians were called wops, dagos, treated like dirt by Irish cops who saw their neighborhoods not as communities to protect, but as territories to control. Little Italy was a powder keg. Overcrowded tenements, families of 8 squeezed into one-room apartments, underfunded schools, over-policed streets. Cops didn't patrol Little Italy, they invaded it. And the violence was relentless. Not mob violence, police violence. Beatings that never made the papers, arrests without cause, harassment that never stopped. Lucky Luciano saw all of it. By 1931, he was 34 years old and already a ghost story. He'd survived a kidnapping, survived a slashed throat that should have killed him, survived wars with Joe Masseria and Salvatore Maranzano, survived everything the old world and the new world threw at him. But more importantly, he'd earned something rare in New York City: trust. When Lucky walked down Mulberry Street, men tipped their hats, not out of fear, out of respect, because Lucky protected the neighborhood. When cops shook down Italian businesses for protection money, Lucky made it stop. When landlords tried to evict families who couldn't pay, Lucky made them pay. He was the unelected king of Little Italy, and everybody knew it. But even Lucky couldn't predict what was about to happen. August 7, 1931, 6:45 p.m. Ferrara's Bakery on Grand Street. A man named Giuseppe Morello, 43 years old, father of 5, baker by trade, was closing up shop. He'd spent 14 hours that day kneading dough, baking bread, serving customers. Honest work, clean money. He heard shouting outside. Through the window, he saw a white police officer, Sergeant Patrick O'Malley, roughing up a young Italian boy, no more than 16, twisting the kid's arm behind his back, slamming him against a brick wall. The charge? The boy had been playing stickball in the street. That was it. Sergeant O'Malley was known in the neighborhood, a bully with a badge, the kind of cop who'd crack your skull open for looking at him wrong, then write in his report that you resisted arrest. Giuseppe Morello, who'd never caused trouble in his life, stepped outside. "Officer, please, he's just a boy." O'Malley turned, saw the apron, the flour on Giuseppe's hands, didn't care. "Mind your business, wop." "I'm an American citizen. This is my business." What happened next, witnesses would argue about for decades, but the outcome was undeniable. Sergeant O'Malley drew his revolver and shot Giuseppe Morello twice in the chest, right there on Grand Street, in front of 30 witnesses. A baker in an apron, holding nothing but a rolling pin he'd forgotten to put down. Giuseppe collapsed onto the cobblestones, blood pooling around him, his last breath escaping as his daughter screamed from the bakery doorway. O'Malley radioed for backup, claimed Giuseppe had lunged at him with a weapon. A lie, but it didn't matter. The damage was done. Within 15 minutes, the word tore through Little Italy like a bullet. They killed Giuseppe. They shot the baker, one of ours. By 7:30 p.m., a crowd had gathered outside Ferrara's bakery. 100 people, then 300, then 1,000. By 8:25 p.m., the crowd was a mob, and the mob was moving. What started at Ferrara's spread through Little Italy like wildfire. Decades of rage, decades of humiliation, decades of watching their people beaten, arrested, killed for no reason other than being Italian. All of it erupted at once. Store windows exploded. Not Italian-owned businesses, those were sacred, but Irish-owned stores, the ones that wouldn't hire Italians, the ones that charged them double, those went up in flames. Police cars were overturned, set ablaze. Officers who ventured onto Mulberry Street were met with bricks, bottles, anything people could hurl. The NYPD tried to form barricades, push the crowds back, but they were outnumbered 100 to 1. By 9:30 p.m., the police commissioner called Mayor Walker. "We've lost control." Mayor Jimmy Walker, a Tammany Hall puppet, a man more interested in cocktails than constituents, faced a choice: send in reinforcements with orders to crack skulls or mobilize the National Guard. Either way, bodies would pile up. He chose the Guard, gave them 2 hours to mobilize. But here's what the mayor didn't understand. Little Italy wasn't rioting because they were criminals. They were rioting because they were exhausted. Exhausted from being shot, exhausted from being ignored, exhausted from watching their fathers and brothers gunned down by men who swore an oath to protect them. And into this inferno walked Lucky Luciano. 10:45 p.m. Lucky Luciano stepped out of the Vesuvio Social Club on Elizabeth Street, his headquarters, the nerve center of his empire. The streets were chaos, smoke, fire, screams, people running in every direction, sirens wailing like dying animals. This wasn't organized. This was pain, raw and unfiltered, tearing itself apart. Lucky's men surrounded him immediately. "Boss, we gotta get you out of here. The guard's coming. They're gonna shoot anyone they see." Lucky looked at the burning streets, looked at his people destroying their own neighborhood, looked at the police in riot gear 3 blocks away, waiting for an excuse to open fire. He made a decision. "Get me a megaphone." "What?" "Get me a megaphone and a car, now." 11:10 p.m. Lucky Luciano stood on the hood of a black Packard in the middle of Mulberry Street and Hester, the beating heart of Little Italy, the epicenter of the chaos. His driver laid on the horn, one long, sustained blast that cut through the noise like a knife. People turned, saw who it was, and slowly the roar began to quiet. Lucky raised the megaphone. "Listen to me." His voice was steel, calm, commanding, the kind of voice you didn't argue with. The crowd quieted, not completely. Fires still crackled, grass still shattered in the distance, but the people near him stopped, turned, listened. "I know why you're angry. I'm angry too. They shot Giuseppe Morello for defending a kid, a baker, a man who never hurt anybody in his life. And that cop, O'Malley, he'll probably get a promotion while Giuseppe's children bury their father." Lucky paused, let it sink in. "But look at what you're burning. Whose stores are these? Whose homes? Yours. You're destroying your own neighborhood. And tomorrow morning when the smoke clears, who's going to pay to rebuild it? Not the NYPD, not City Hall. You." Voices in the crowd shouted back, "They deserve it. They killed one of us." Lucky nodded. "You're right, they do deserve it. But here's what they want. They want you to burn your own streets so tomorrow they can march troops down Mulberry and say, 'See, these people are animals. They need to be controlled.' They want you to give them an excuse." He pointed toward the police line 4 blocks south, officers in riot gear, rifles at ready. "You see those cops? They're waiting for you to throw one more brick, torch one more building, because when you do, they get to shoot, and when the bodies stack up, they'll blame you. Not O'Malley, not the NYPD, you. The crowd was listening now, really listening. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to go home, you're going to check on your families, you're going to let me handle this. Someone yelled, "What are you going to do?" Lucky smiled, cold, dangerous. "I'm going to call the mayor, and I'm going to tell him that if the cops who caused this aren't gone by sunrise, next time I won't stop the riot, I'll lead it." 11:47 p.m. The streets were clearing, not because the police ordered it, because Lucky Luciano did. People were going home, fires were being stamped out. By the time the National Guard rolled into Little Italy at midnight, there was nothing left to suppress. The riot was over. The Guard commander radioed Mayor Walker. "Sir, the situation is